Good morning, Moira.
Good
Moira,
morning.
and it's wonderful to get to talk to you today. I've really been looking forward to it. You had so many fascinating aspects of your work.
Hmm.
Do you want to give us in a nutshell before we start what you feel your work is and what you're about, that sort of thing?
Sure. And this one's hard for me because I do offer so many different modalities, but in essence, I am an intuitive coach and I blend multiple different types of therapies like meditation and hypnotherapy, tarot card readings, human design readings. And but my work is really what I specialize in is two things. One is helping people get in touch with their intuition and realize how deeply intuitive they are so they can get in touch with that gift and trust it and use it to navigate their life and their choices. And then the other part is to calm the nervous system. That's such a big, big component. But that's what comes up when you ask for in a nutshell. So it's about
Yes.
tapping into intuition and calming the nervous system.
I love that. I do. And so many of us in today's hectic world, especially all the chaos right now, we
Hmm.
really need that. We
Yeah.
really need to develop and those capabilities
Yes.
of being able to keep ourselves calm and centered through it all.
Yep.
So that's really some very important and current work
Hmm.
that you're doing.
Yes.
I'm wondering, how did you originally start out on this path? What moved you in the direction? Were you always a spiritual person as a child, as you grew up, or did something kind of come into your path? What is your origin story that way?
So I always have been deeply spiritual. I was brought up as a Quaker, and Quakers are basically brought up to believe that the voice of God is that quiet, still voice inside, which I think that's part of why I feel so drawn to helping people get in touch with their own intuitive guidance. That's like the voice of the universe or the voice of creator. So that was my background, like as a child growing up. My parents separated, and that's when I was born in Canada, but my parents divorced, and I moved to Scotland with my father and my four sisters. I'm the oldest of five girls.
Oh,
Yeah. So there's that part, and then at age 17, 18, I always wanted to be a healer, help people. It's so that's always been my nature. But I couldn't. I actually had wanted to be a nurse, but I unfortunately couldn't do that because of my back. The in Scotland, if you ever have any kind of back issues, you cannot be trained as a nurse, which I'm sure it's changed now, but that's what it was when I was there.
mhm.
So from there, I ended up joining a cult. I was in a cult for 2 years
Wow.
at that age. And the cult kind of played upon that idea of you're here to help people. You have gifts, healing gifts and abilities. And so that's what got me in there. But then I basically gave up all my power. All my personal power was given to, like I was told who I could be, what I could and couldn't talk. I actually had to cut ties with all my family members also, because the choice
Oh,
was you bring them in with you or you don't speak to them anymore. And I did do that. So then coming out, and you can imagine what that educates you, right? That I know what it's like to be completely have no power, no choice, no personal autonomy. And so it's informed so much of the work that I do now. So then after coming out, I was in like 2021 when I came out. And I jumped into learning corporate work because at this time it was something, it was taboo. You didn't tell people about why was there this 2 year gap on my resume? Couldn't tell anybody. So I went into hyperdrive really to catch up with my skill set and worked in the corporate world. I worked in the corporate world as I did bookkeeping and accounting and administrative work. And I did that for a long time, actually. I can't even think of how long that was, but I burnt myself out. And that's what brought me into the work that I do now, is the burnout. I've actually had 3 burnouts in my adult life because of that need to push and hustle and get things done and being a people pleaser also. That doesn't help much either. So then I've been doing this work full time, the healing work that I do now, I've been doing it full time since 2004. That's when because I had become very, very ill and did a lot of research on why do people burn out? What creates this sort of fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, chronic pain type of labels? Where does that come from? And I read this article. I can't remember where this article was, but this was the pivot moment. I read this article that said the reason those types of ailments happen is because you're not following your purpose. And that's where I went, oh, remember I wanted to be a healer? Remember I wanted to help people? And so that's the synthesized or shortened version of why I do what I do and what brought me here.
Wow. And we still hear that and say that today is if everything is going wrong for you, your health or whatever,
Yeah,
your life fortune or what have you, it's generally because you are not in alignment, with
precisely.
so that is still the thinking, and it really makes a difference when a person moves into alignment, how suddenly the flow is there, and
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
everything works.
It does. And it was really interesting because, like I said to you, that was that pivot. And that happened in the year 2000. Um, and I remember even then I was still quite ill, but I started to be so productive. I started training basically in the healing arts. I originally I was a massage therapist, reflexology, massage therapy, craniosacral, and then I started to come more into like the intuitive teaching and hypnotherapy. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist also and a meditation teacher. I'm always training. I just can't stop me. I just am fascinated by anything energetic or
Yes.
different tools and different approaches, you know?
Mhm. That completely makes sense. Um, I tell you, with all your work with intuition and that sort of thing, that really is a deep interest of mine. I've always wanted to be capable of better accessing deep inner wisdom of my soul or whatever, and I'm curious what kind of advice would you give someone who is working in that direction, wanting to really access their inner wisdom and trust the guidance that they feel that they're getting from it?
It's that type of thing. I believe it's like a muscle. And the more we exercise it, the more we start to realize it's always there. Because truth is we are all always all intuitive. But as a collective, we are wired to jump into our left brain, to be logical, to be rational, rather than just follow the feeling, to feel. So one of my questions that I really encourage people to embody and to immerse themselves in is when you're trying to make a choice, am I going to go this way or this way? I'm going to say yes to this or no to that. Is to come into your heart space, to do a few breaths, just getting into your body, and then ask yourself, how do I feel about myself here? Because that allows you to drop into the wisdom of your emotions. That's a pivotal piece because your intuition does not come as a big booming voice in your head. and it's too, if we try and be logical and rational and work things out, we're going to miss the feeling of your heart just saying yes. So if you're saying, how do I feel about myself if I say yes to that opportunity? And maybe you feel like this sense of pushed down. Maybe there's a wee bit of a heaviness in your tummy. Maybe there's just a gentle sway back. Your body might kind of go, whoa. But you only discern those if you create just a little moment. It doesn't, and it actually can happen in like 30 seconds. But you've got to train that. Just how do I feel about myself if I say yes? Oh, I feel a bit weighted down. Okay, maybe that's a no. How do I feel about myself if I go this way? Well, I feel excited. I feel a lift. I feel oh, that's it. And then we start to play with that more. It's also very helpful to record the times that you did it. So remind yourself, remember when I said, yes, I'm going to go that way. And it all went beautifully. But also remember the time that I thought, should I go this way? And how do I feel about myself? Well, I feel a little bit weighted down. I feel a little bit wonky in the energy. And then let's say you go and do it, and then it all falls apart, and you kind of go down that path. And you thought, oftentimes when we go against that intuition, we'll come to a reminder at one point and go, gosh, you know what? I knew that it wasn't the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying is just make a wee note. It's not to shame yourself or get angry at yourself. It's just to go, remember that feeling. And that helps trust blossom more, right?
I agree. And I agree. Listening to the heart is, for me,
Yeah.
that's the key.
Yes.
My heart is my heart consciousness is very clear with me. um, it is good with what I'm looking at doing. I feel really good about it.
Yeah.
If it is not, it's like constriction. It's
Yeah.
like, so it's just, yeah, that is a very helpful way to go.
Yeah. So now that you say that, because you know those feelings, you don't even have to necessarily be thinking something about, do I do this or do this? Because if you're just, in a group environment or contemplating things and you get one of those feelings, whether it's the expansive or the contraction, your intuition's on fire right there. It's saying, continue that way. Or that's not the best thing.
Right.
Right. And that's why I'm saying it's like a muscle, that the more trusting we become, because it's always communicating to us.
Mhm. And I think it's really important to people also to remember, the whole self-love thing, because we are too hard on ourselves sometimes. And I think
Yeah.
we maybe cultivate these things like listening to our heart and all that more easily if we are really able to give ourselves love and not
Yeah.
feel bad about ourselves and use the negative talk and all that. Do
Yes.
you agree with that?
100%. It is so, so important. This makes me think of one of the things that I reference often is the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Mhm.
And the fourth agreement is always do your best. However, when we are, being listening to I should have done better, or I could have done this, or I failed over there, or we're not acknowledging that at every single moment we are doing our best.
Mhm.
So therefore, when we can come into just a sense of kindness, maybe we're judging ourselves based on where we are now, and we're looking over our shoulder something that we did 2 months ago or a year ago, and you say, yeah, see, I failed. I didn't do my best. Well, actually, you did. But the version of you here is betraying that version of you. And that's how come the inner critic takes hold, is because it's not judging something that's right here and now. Because when we just again, come back to our heart and say, if I had that to do all over again, I would do it differently. But I recognize I did the best then, and that's it. Let go. Staying present. We know that, right? We know that our power and our truth is here in this now moment. But we can kind of get caught up in, beating ourselves up for things that we did in the past or getting anxious because we're trying to predict the future.
Right.
No
Right.
power there.
We can just relax a little
Yes.
and be a little kinder to ourselves, even when we recognize something we did and we're like, I wish I hadn't done it that way or
Yeah.
whatever. It's good to just continue on with that thought and say, but you know what? I still love me. I'm still completely
Yeah.
acceptable. There's really nothing wrong with me. That's just something that happened.
Yep. Yep. It's just it's just maybe it was a detour. Maybe it was, hey, I learned something over there. Because sometimes, and that's about the law of attraction, it's talked about oftentimes is, you know, if we really immerse ourselves in this idea that we are powerful creator beings, you know what? I've got lots of things that have shown up for me and probably still will that I kind of go, I don't want to create that. I don't want to attract that. But it's about really allowing ourselves the kindness and the acknowledgement of I'm finding out what I prefer. Sometimes, in order to get clear on what I prefer, I have to visit that which I do not prefer, right?
Yes.
And so, therefore, I can't shame myself or guilt myself or get hung up on, oh, I did this or did it this way and this is how it felt. So, thanks. That's a good piece of learning. And now I can course correct. We can always shift and change, right?
Yes, yes. And really there's hardly I don't can think of any incidents when it's really worthwhile for us to be using self-shaming talk, or
Yeah.
that sort of thing. If you just have we just have to see things as an event in our lives, and there had to be some learning in it, and
Yep.
and I've moved on and I'm fine.
Yeah.
Instead of,
Yeah.
dwelling on it for too long in a
Ruminating
negative
about
way.
it.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
we don't need that. And that brings me to another subject. Self-love brings me to the subject of self-care. What do you have to say on
Mhm.
the subject of self-care? Because I don't think I hear much about it. I mean, we do when people get to the point of burnout, and then we finally initiate all the self-care,
Mhm.
regimen and what have you. But do you have any thoughts on self-care and how regular it maybe should be, or the best way to handle
Mhm. I do. And so I like to think of it as sacred self-care because it makes it easier to well, easier maybe not, but it's to honor the fact that we are all sacred beings. We're having a sacred experience. This thing called life, it's a game, but it's sacred and we chose to be here.
it?
So the thing about self-care is I don't know about you, but I wasn't brought up this way to think that I need to figure out what does self-care mean? What do I prefer? What's good for me? I talk about them being the four pillars. So the four pillars is this is your PEMS check-in. The four pillars are your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Self-care must, this is not negotiations anymore. Feel, it must fuel us and fill our cup on a physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual basis. And it needs to be number one priority, top of the list, not the bottom, not sometimes, not maybe next week, but every single day. And priority number one. And here's why. It's because if we keep trying to give from our own cup and we let it run dry, what happens then? We get sick, we burn out, we start getting resentful. When people keep giving and giving and giving without filling up their cup, and I've had this conversation so many times, and people go, yeah, I start to resent all these people that I'm looking after and I'm putting them at the top of my list and not thinking about me. And part of it is because if we're sacrificing our own self-care for the benefit of the kids or the spouse or the family, whatever it is that we're doing, we're sacrificing. And then there's going to be a part of us that says, why don't all these people see what I'm giving up, what I'm sacrificing in order to do whatever it is I'm doing? But if we flip that and start saying, no, I must fill my cup as priority number one and keep doing it. And this is why it's an ongoing process, is that I then give from my saucer. This is the analogy that I like to teach. You give from your saucer, so you give from the overflow that's available when you're looking after those four pillars of you. There's a stability, there's an everlasting flow here. So therefore, when we do that, we actually start to see, gosh, I can serve more. I can give more because it's an ever replenishing ability. So when we start doing that, and it just it ripples out into the collective. And that's why I think it's so important. In the Western world in particular, we are not educated for this.
You are so right. I'm just sitting here thinking about all of that. No, the way I came up, the way most of us did, I think the majority is still feeling like I got to keep going. I got to get
Yep.
things done. I got to,
Yep.
and it's just not healthy.
It's not, it's conditioning. And to your point too, basically the pattern now is that got to keep going, got to keep pushing and hustling and doing and performing. And then maybe things change if you get sick or if there's a health challenge. Then it's like, okay. However, sometimes when that happens, it's short-lived. Like the lesson of it is short-lived because it's like, well, I have to recover and recuperate and then get back into that
Right into it.
crazy pace again. Yeah,
Oh, that's awful. I know because it's similar. Some people use the analogy of the on the airline, they tell you, if something
that's
happens
right.
and the masks drop down, you've got to put it on yourself first before you put it on your kid because, otherwise, if you're out, you can't help your children or whatever. So,
Yeah,
yeah, it's that sort of analogy. You have to take care of yourself in order to
that's
be able
that's
to
the
serve
one that I
others and live your best life, period. Mm.
yeah, precisely. And that's the one that I often reference that is like you got to put your because how can you be of service if you've passed out or if you can't even get up, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm. Excuse me, I'm going to get a little bit of water. Well, I'd like to ask you, while we're still in the serious part of our interview, and then I might ask you just a fun question. Um,
Okay.
what we probably already covered. So I think we probably already covered what the things that you do that most excites you at this time. But maybe there's something new on the horizon you're thinking of, or something. Or maybe you have a special story about how your work has helped someone or something. Do you have anything like that you would like to share? Either your passions, what is your biggest passion with your work? Because I do know you have a lot of modalities. It's very impressive.
I do.
And and I just am curious, what stands out for you at this moment to share with us in either of those ways? As your biggest passion, the
So
thing that's exciting you about moving forward, or you know, the other.
so I love hearing back from people. This is where I was when I started working with you, and here's what I can do now. And
Mhm.
and I have clients that stay with me for really long time
Oh,
because
wonderful.
one of the things that I think is really important is to teach people that they are perfect as they are. We
Yes.
are none of us are broken.
Right.
The idea of healing, of course, we are our own healer. For me, I'm a vessel, I'm a conduit of guidance and calming therapies and things of that nature. But So the thing that I that lights me up is when people start to feel into, gosh, I never knew that about myself. I never realized how intuitive I really am. And so then to start following that and trusting it, I think that that's such a beautiful gift to witness that in other people. But the other part around it too is to when I'm doing like guided meditations or hypnosis sessions, in essence, I'm helping people step into that version of themselves that they don't believe is possible. So that one is very, very powerful. And so I'm actually working on a project right now. I was going to launch it in the middle of October, but I might be pushing it out a little bit more. But I'm working on a 9-week program called I'm calling it your Inner Compass Accelerator,
Oh, I love
because I
that.
want to help people really not only understand and see all aspects of them, but
Mhm.
to actually trust that inner compass. That's the intuition to really
Mhm.
come into it. Because, truth be told, I think a lot of us are already doing it. We just haven't noticed. We haven't pressed pause on the busy enough to kind of go, oh, that's how come I said yes to that. That's how come I went that way. And because when we just allow the flow, it's actually always there,
Yes.
right?
It's often a very innate thing, not something you have to, you know, physically call out or,
Yeah,
it's just, oh, this is how I do this,
yeah,
this is just the way my decisions come to me or whatever. Yeah.
yeah. A really just a very quick tip for your listeners, for your audience, about sometimes people aren't very aware about how they receive their intuitive guidance. So I invite people to actually watch how they ingest new wisdom. For some people, they might be saying, I feel I feel what you're saying. Some people would be, I know what you're saying. Some people would be, I hear what you're saying. Those are all intuitive channels. I hear what you're saying. It could be that you're receiving your guidance as clear audience. Clear means clear. So clear audience might be your favored channel of getting your intuitive guidance. Claircognizance is just that inner knowing. I know.
Right.
Clairsentience is the feeling. So just watch and just do it over a period of time. Watch how you speak things out. I hear what you're saying. I feel that vibe. I smell the roses. Those are all ways to really tune into your own gift.
Mhm. Okay. Um, well, I love all the information you've given me. I think I'm really in alignment with the kind of things that you're doing.
Mm,
It sounds like the same kind of feelings I have about these things. But
beautiful.
so is that your parting wisdom, or do you have anything else you might like to advise people on? Or would you like to tell folks how to get in touch with you for your work? I mean, when you start your new program, you'll probably want to hear from
Yes,
some people who
definitely.
feel like that is just perfect for you, right?
Yeah.
Perfect for them.
So my website is wellnesswithmoira.com. So it's
Okay.
WELLNESS with Moira, Moira.com.
Hmm.
So all of there's a page on there that some people call it my everything page. So
Hmm.
it lets you see and gives you access to things like I have a library of guided meditations available on Insight Timer. So there's a link
Wow.
from my
Hmm.
website for that. And then I have various courses. And of course, this program that I'm telling you about is going to be promoted on that page too. Um, I also offer, and you can request this on my website, that if anybody's kind of confused or they feel drawn to learning something, I do offer 15-minute free consultations because sometimes, I gave you a synthesized version of what I do, but sometimes people just feel like they want to have a conversation with me to see,
Yes.
is it possible to deal with this anxiety or this fear or this, and so that's why I think it's an important piece to just have a conversation.
I
And so that's
agree.
that's available on my website too.
And that's a wonderful way for a person to feel their way into it. Does this feel like what I
Yeah,
was thinking, what I'm wanting? And
yeah,
so they can then choose it by resonance
yes, yes,
as it
exactly.
resonates with them. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I
And
love
that's
that.
something that's very important to me is that I am not for everybody,
Mhm.
right? So I light up with my work, with what I do, but that's why it's so important to just feel, can I feel you at my heart space? Does it make me feel calm? And so there's that question again. How does this make me feel about me? How does it make you feel about you when you're having a conversation with me? Right?
Mhm. Okay.
Such an important, it just drops you into your own awareness.
Yes. It has been really comforting talking to you today. I really love your presence. It's very
Thank you.
calming and peaceful, and I love it. I've really enjoyed this,
Thank
and I
you.
think you've given us lots of wisdom in this short time. So I'm thinking maybe ask you a question that helps us to know you a little bit better personally before we go. So let me just ask you, what kinds of things make you laugh or play or feel the most alive in your life?
uh my cat.
Oh,
My cat. I have
yes.
I have a very I have a beautiful cat who talks to me and and
Oh,
and and so she makes me laugh and makes me feel, I've said this before, I think it's such a beautiful thing to have pets because pets remind us of unconditional love. So you know how
yes.
earlier we were talking about when we get into the inner critic, the cat never judges you.
Yeah.
So that one totally lights me up.
Yes.
And then the other thing, I'm very creative. I love my walks outside in nature, and my pastime, my hobby is I do counted cross stitch. I
What
actually
kind of cross stitch?
counted cross
Oh,
stitch.
counted. Okay.
Hmm. And so
Hmm.
I'm actually working on a piece right now that's in memory of my husband. My husband
Oh,
passed away last October. And so
okay.
that's been part of what's informed some of the work that I'm stepping more into now is
Mhm.
the grieving process and the calming your nervous system. But I think that
Yes,
having a creative outlet is such a beautiful meditative part, but it's fills me up. That
it is.
one, that one does fill my cup for sure.
That's wonderful. That just sounds great.
Yes, it
Well,
is.
and I am sorry for your loss, but
Thank you.
I love the story about your little cat. Does it seem to talk to you in meows or telepathically, or can you actually make out any words? Because some
I
cats actually talk.
yes, I know. I know. She talks in little she does meow. Well, she if she's meowing, it's because she wants fed.
Uh-huh.
But she does uh with her eyes and with just little bleeps, like
Uh-huh.
little come here. She's telling me come here. And
Mhm.
so
Oh,
it's
how
not
cute.
specific words, but she really does communicate with with her
Yeah,
purrs or her little squeaks and
right. I think
yeah.
most cat owners work out some type of communication there. I had one that from very early on after I got him, I always referred to myself as mama. I would like be, come on, come with mama, that sort of thing. And he got to
Yeah.
saying mama all the
Aw.
time. I did it, but and I would tell people he does it. They were like, he does not. Come here, you can hear it yourself. And they would be shocked, but he would always say, Mama.
That's cute. That's cute.
Love our pets. They are a great source of joy in life, aren't they?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, it's
Yes.
been a complete pleasure getting to talk with you today. I want to thank you so very much.
It's been
for
my
being with
pleasure.
me.
This has been, thank you,
And I
thank you.
think this will be a helpful video to have on YouTube as well. You'll be able to help
Absolutely.
some others through this. So thank you very
Beautiful.
much.
My
Okay.
pleasure.
All right.
Thanks. Okay. Bye.
Bye.